The biggest name.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Continuous soft hits today on JJ and Alex.
I just felt like I'd be at a company party with my glasses on, just karaokeing this.
Hall & Oates.
Yeah, I'd be a lip syncer though.
You'd just be a lip syncer?
I'm more into the performance.
Okay.
You know, so.
You're like me. I'm more of an air guitar guy, not so much a karaoke guy because I can't sing worth a lick.
Just imagine JJ in the back with an air guitar, popped collar, sunglasses.
Now, air guitar or air bass?
Oh, is he slapping the bass?
Slapping the bass? I can slap at the bass.
Slap at the bass?
I can slap at the bass with the best of them.
Love it.
I can do both. I'm versatile.
Hey, man, that's the makings of a great band. Great cover band. We're a great lip-syncing cover band right there. Don't touch my drum set, by the way.
Oh, man.
Okay.
If you know, you know.
Oh, yeah. It's the best.
Love that movie.
It's, you know, someone told me, what is it, Old School?
Yeah.
You know, Old School is now, what did it say, 23 years old?
Yeah, I know, right?
I was
Doesn't that make you
pissed.
feel old?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, there's a would you rather for you. Step Brothers or Old School?
Oh, come on.
We'll save that for another day. No,
gosh.
we'll save it for another day. We'll save it for another day. Maybe I need to ask
I was like,
Mitch
I gotta
Harper,
choose.
Old School or Step Brothers. I'm sure he'll get it. All right. It's time for the cut, and it's brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Give them a call today, your local financial fiduciary, 801-899-7600, or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. BYU, we need an explanation. Mitch Harper will try to do it right now.
It's time to get the inside info on BYU with Cougar insider Mitch Harper of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Speaking of air guitar, that's a rockin' intro for our next guest, our BYU Cougars insider for KSL Sports. You hear him on the show all the time. Mitch Harper joins us live. Mitch, how are you?
Doing good. BYU had a Step Brothers moment yesterday. They're going 3 season-ending injuries.
Oh.
Richie Saunders goes down, and then we're down 36 against UCF. What the heck just happened?
Oh.
So we're not going on the boat? Anyway, but yeah, BYU in a world of hurt right now.
Catalina wine mixer.
It's just your face, you know. Is there anything I could do about that? There's so many one-liners. It's great.
Oh, man.
Is he saying UCF or is he saying POW? Like, what is that?
Oh, man. I think BYU's happy we're making jokes because there was nothing funny about what happened last night, Mitch.
I want to drive a Range Rover, bro.
We need you to help BYU Nation understand what the heck happened last night. What was that?
Lack of effort, disinterested team. One of the worst efforts I think I've ever seen from BYU in the last 30 years.
Wow.
At the Marriott Center. That was an embarrassing performance from BYU. It's one thing to have a team be hot from 3. You know, that happens. But UCF was wide open, and BYU was not closing out. And it almost just it came off that BYU thought they had arrived by beating Iowa State, and they were going to waltz into the Marriott Center with a
UCF was
late
lay
night
down.
blackout game and think that they were just going to cruise to a comfortable victory against UCF. UCF had other plans. They got up by 10 before BYU could really blink, and the way they went. And it was not only the 3-point shooting, it was the physicality from UCF too, because I thought, okay, maybe there's a chance in the second half BYU makes a run. We've seen that from this team. First 3 possessions, slam dunks from UCF, and they sent a message that they're the more physical team. And so BYU, I thought that was a poor performance effort-wise, and I think it was justified that some pockets of Cougar fans, it wasn't the whole arena, but there were pockets of Cougar fans booing that team last night. I thought it was deserved.
Yeah, man. I as I said, man, I've been there as far as those performances, and sometimes you just have a leg. But one thing you cannot have as far as a narrative of what's happened is a lack of effort.
Right.
There's a different thing when things aren't falling and it's just not going your way. There's just frustration. There's games like that. But effort is the last thing anybody should ever say about your team, because that's nothing that you have to coach. That's nothing that you should be able. But effort on the defensive end, as I said, those closeouts were abysmal and terrible last night, and you can't do that. And this late in the season, this is when good basketball really happens. Right, good, and that's what everybody loves about the college game is good team basketball, and that's what you saw from UCF last night. And of course, as you said, coming out of halftime, sending a message, making sure you're putting teams away, and that is championship effort, man. And again, optimistically, I said this earlier, is that you could take that because it's still the regular season. You can still fix this essentially, but lack of effort is the last thing you want to see, especially after a performance you did on Saturday. And guys just expecting. So is that what you take from that, Mitch? Is so what I thought is, like, in football games, I can see sometimes that guys kind of sit on the sidelines or on the game on the sidelines and just look at, like, I'm expecting AJ to make that play, right? I'm expecting Rob to make that play. Did you see that? Was there a lot of other guys should be making plays instead of me, and that's what you got from the lack of effort?
Definitely. And I think that, now you're in a situation, BYU, where you're looking for consistency from guys not named AJ DeBonsa and Rob Wright. And Rob ended up with 20 points, but it was an up and down night for Rob Wright. These guys haven't consistently done it every single night. And if you're UCF, you love the fact that Kennard Davis and Alexei Kostic fired off 23 field goal attempts. You'll live with that any day of the week, because that takes away opportunities from AJ DeBonsa to get buckets and be as efficient as he was. He got AJ, he ended up with 29 points, 12 of which, though, were in the last 3 minutes and 15 seconds. So he was, kind of neutralized a little bit by UCF. I thought the length of UCF really had an impact on AJ, and teams play him physical like anyone does in the Big 12. They really sold out, and UCF just kept building momentum throughout that game. And again, it was, it's one thing to lose at home, and BYU has been really good in that building, and they've taken losses at times, and some of which have been blowouts, but you don't typically see BYU get hammered by an unranked team. When they fall to someone, I think back to a couple years ago in the WCC, they got beat handily by Gonzaga. I think it was by 37. It was the Zags. They were a top 5 team. But BYU was the double-digit favorite in this one, and to be down 36, I know the final score shows 13 points.
That was not the story.
36, and BYU just, that doesn't happen very often. I mean, you got to go back to like the 1 in 25 season to really find that type of performance. And I think the crazy thing about this team is that they've shown you glimpses that they can go toe-to-toe, even without Richie, against some of the best teams in the country. But then they can also lose a game like this against a UCF team that didn't have their best player in Riley Kugel. I mean, that gets kind of overlooked a little bit. They were without their top guy. He didn't even suit up, and BYU still lost this game the way that they did. So that's a very volatile team in the NCAA tournament, and that is not a squad that gives you confidence they're going to get to the Sweet 16, heck, maybe even the round of 32.
Yeah.
And that's a conversation I don't think anyone thought we'd be having about this BYU team.
Yeah, it even feels awkward right now, Mitch, to even talk about the NCAA tournament with this team right now, because the way they are currently performing, at least in this game, and we've seen the moments. I mean, Oklahoma State obviously was a bad loss. There's been some inconsistencies, but it's just really tough to think that far ahead when the team struggled like this at home. Kevin Young, though, he coached the NBA and in the G League. There's some nights where you just don't have it, like Sly's saying. What did he say after the game? What was his approach after the game? Because I wasn't there. I want to know what the vibe was, because if I played in a game like that, the feeling coming out of the game in the post-game press conference and in the locker room would be pretty dark. What was the vibe coming out of there, and what did Kevin Young say?
You summed it up pretty well. I mean, it was pretty dark, and Kevin Young, he pointed to that he's going to have to break down the film and the defense, but he acknowledged that the effort was not there, and he wanted that to level up going forward, because, as he put it, he was stunned by that effort, and the defense was poor. And Kevin Young, that's going to be a big question for his program. Every single year he's going to field teams that are great offenses. BYU is going to score with the best of them. But defensively, the last season and this year, and this year I think was better in non-conference play, even against the teams like UConn. I know early on in that game they got down big without two starters, but still were playing pretty well defensively. But it's went sideways completely, and you could chalk that up to injury, sure, but defense is going to be an area where BYU has to get better as a program. Whatever happens, with this year's team and the end result for this group, defensively, BYU has to get better. Last year we saw BYU give up 113 in the Sweet 16. Career nights seem to be happening a lot against BYU, whether it's Bama, it's UCF last night. Baylor had a huge performance a couple weeks ago, even in a BYU win. Oklahoma State went off. It's happening way too often. We saw signs of this even early in the year when BYU was playing teams like Delaware, where you're getting down big, you're seeing this hot shooting from a team you're not expecting. That's got to be something that's addressed in the offseason. I don't think you can suddenly fix it this year. I do think that BYU could maybe take an approach of, hey, just lean into the offense and maybe go small ball as they did in the second half against UCF, where you saw AJ DeBonsa playing a lot of the five. Maybe that's the direction they need to go and just admit defensively they're a liability, but you're going to try and outscore some teams. And maybe that's the recipe going forward, because BYU's bigs were a non-factor last night, and they didn't really play at all in the second half, as Kevin Young chose to go with that smaller lineup, which gave them a little bit of a fight in that second half. So it's tough. And I think what makes it difficult for BYU is that there were just such high expectations for this team to be among, the top teams in the country and be in the conversation to, at a minimum, get to the Sweet 16. And feels like that would be quite the accomplishment at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, man. Because the problem is like you're dealing with. We're talking about next year and your defense and this that you're going to have potentially with the transfer portal and all this stuff going on is a whole new roster, right? And because you're getting AJ DeBonsa's one and done. He's going to top 5 draft, top 3 draft pick. Richie Saunders, we don't know if he can get a medical. Could he get a medical redshirt for this year?
Probably done.
If he's done, and so you're getting a lot of your guys. Is Rob going to be here next year? I know he's a sophomore, but is he going to dip and hit the transfer portal? So you got a lot of things to adjust with the new landscape of NCAA. But is this fixable? Did Kevin Young give in the post game any type of feeling that this was a one night thing, that this is something that they can coach and get better before Saturday?
I do believe that they do think this can get fixed, because the next two teams that they face, even though they're on the road, and BYU's shown an ability to give up big performances on the road, Kevin Young finds answers and they typically respond quickly. But this is a team right now that's 4-7 over their last 11 games. And a lot of that was with Richie Saunders as well. So this is not suddenly, I think it just kind of came to a head last night with how jarring it was to see BYU down that way and the performance. And again, too, you factor in all the side pieces to it, where it's a 9 p.m. local game, 11 p.m. Eastern for UCF body clock wise. You thought UCF might mail it in and say they already got their split on the road trip. They're just trying to stay healthy and get out of this one. They get the sweep and really should have punched their ticket, I would think, as an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament. It was just a disaster of a game for BYU. And I think what's going to have to be important, I thought something that was telling from KY is acknowledge that the absence of Richie Saunders, just being that presence in the locker room, is something they're really missing right now as far as that heart and soul, because AJ is the leader and he's embraced that, but there's no one else besides AJ right now that's really trying to carry this team as a leader without Richie on that floor. And who can step up and be that? You would assume that's Rob Wright, but he's never really been that guy in his basketball career. He played on a high school team that featured Cooper Flagg and Derek Queen. He was the 4th or 5th guy. And at BYU this year, he was the 2nd or 3rd guy. So, can Rob Wright elevate his, leadership qualities too, because you bring it up when you look ahead, Rob Wright's going to be someone that BYU obviously wants to retain and make him a top priority for this program, because I wouldn't assume that he's probably a first round guy this year. If he was to go and declare for the NBA draft, and he's got 2 years of eligibility remaining, KY can get this fixed. I think he's still learning the college game a little bit, and there's been some adjustments there. And I think, we've seen the ability defensively from BYU against Houston, where they battled against Houston in a lot of that game. So they've shown signs this season where they can be tough defensively. I just kind of come away from that game against UCF and just think that they just think they had arrived because they beat Iowa State, and suddenly that was going to take care of the rest of the season. And that just wasn't the case in the Big 12, where you give shooters wide open looks. They're going to knock them down pretty consistently at this league.
I'm very curious to see how they respond Saturday at West Virginia in a tough environment, and a team that's fighting and clawing scratch and trying to get back in the conversation for the tournament. So we'll see how they respond. But I think BYU fans need a diversion right now. They need football. Spring football starts on Friday. I know, Mitch, you're all over it. What are some of the storylines that are top of mind as BYU gets back out on the field to practice this week?
Big storyline, I think, is going to be at wide receiver. And, with the departure of Parker Kingston getting dismissed and Chase Roberts, and, with Parker Kingston, he was back in court today. I saw that, and he's going through his deal, the allegations with him, and that's just, again, surreal. Earlier this month, he's at the Marriott Center with his fiance, and now he's in courtrooms. I mean, it was a wild turn of events, but now they got to find answers to replace him, and then Chase Roberts, who's going through the combine this week and going to go through on-field workouts. I think there's options there at that receiver unit, but no one is a clear, pecking order. Like if you said JoJo Phillips, wide receiver 1, I don't think you anoint him. Like he's got to go earn it. If you're Fesi Satake, you create the opportunity for anyone in that room to go claim a job. And I think that creates opportunity for a young freshman like a Jaron Pula to step in and maybe be an impact guy right away, potentially for BYU. Cody Hagan as well. Tiger Bachmeier returns. He didn't really have much of an impact last season, but he's heading into his second year in the program. And I think also to kind of see big stories like, what is the defense going to look like? I know there's been a lot of talk about the foundation that Kelly Poppinga inherits with this defense and the odd front they typically run, but what wrinkles does K-pop throw into this defense? They probably won't show too much in media observation windows if we get those in spring ball, but what tweaks and what new wrinkles do we see? I think that's something I'm kind of curious to watch, because I think defensively this team could be better. I think personnel-wise they are this season, and that's, pretty bold to say, considering you lose Jack Kelly, you lose some key guys, but I think the secondary is going to be better this season for BYU. And I think, Kedu Luave coming in from Cal is a big-time addition at that inside linebacker spot. Could do a lot of different things for BYU as they replace Jack Kelly, who's, like a will linebacker, edge rusher type of guy. So those are two of the top stories, I think, going into spring ball that I'm really going to be tracking. And then also Bear Bachmeier, just his growth as well. I think that's going to be something that will be interesting to see. But, I think with him, we might not see as much. Hopefully we get to see more maybe behind him, because they don't really have a clear number 2 behind Bear Bachmeier, and that's an important position as well. So there's no shortage of storylines for BYU in spring ball in a year where they're going to have really high expectations for this group.
Yeah, man, I'm more focused on the defensive side of the ball, right? I know we talked about Jack Kelly leaving and some of the moves they had there, but there's a lot of guys stayed. Faletau Satuala stayed. That was kind of a thing that people thought that he might leave. But Jay Hill leaving is more. So my question kind of goes to is Kelly Poppinga ready for all of this stuff, and what are we getting out of that? And I know Kelly Poppinga has some coaching experience, but I think it's just deafening difference from when Jay Hill wasn't there to when Jay Hill was there, and now Jay Hill's leaving, right? And that type of pressure that could potentially be lying upon Kelly Poppinga. Is he ready for all of that? What have you heard from, essentially him on taking on this role after a successful Jay Hill?
He's had nearly two decades of coaching experience, and he can kind of pull from the Bronco Mendenhall era Jay Hill, Kalani Sitake, a lot of different defensive minds he's worked with during his coaching career. And, Kalani Sitake wanted to get Kelly Poppinga. And so, there was thoughts maybe Gerald Guilford could factor into that conversation as well, but he goes to Michigan. K-Pop's been a really good recruiter too. So I think he's ready for this. I think what helps though, Sly, is that having Gary Anderson as a senior analyst, I think that's key, that they retained him and he didn't go to Ann Arbor, because even, Gary Anderson has said on these airwaves that he wants to mentor younger coaches and help them progress. And he believes that BYU's got a great foundation defensively and a defensive identity. And I think that helps the cause too, where, Gary Anderson's in a little bit of a low stress position. He's not having to talk to us in the media. He's just in an analyst role, doesn't have to go out recruit, just focuses on ball and can work alongside Kelly Poppinga. And you've also got some, coaches in that defensive staff now with, coordinator experience. DeMario Warren's been a coordinator. Lewis Walker, the new cornerbacks coach, he's also been a coordinator. And of course, Kalani Sitake as well. So I think that there's a lot of help around him to lift him up. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a big adjustment, because the years without Jay Hill defensively, BYU was okay in the Kalani era, but nothing great. Whereas the last 2 years, they've been one of the best defenses in the Big 12. And it's no surprise they've won 23 football games. So it's critical. And I think that personnel-wise, that's where I do think that BYU's got a lot to be excited about. They did not make a push to add people in the portal along the defensive line, because there's a lot of young freshmen and sophomore that they are really big on, that they think have big futures, like a Hunter Clegg. Adney Reed comes back from a mission. DeVoe Tuataga is going to be a spring guy. He won't be part of spring ball. He'll be down the road, but there's some promising players that are young that they feel will be, kind of the faces of the defense in the Kelly Poppinga defensive coordinator era. So a lot of optimism for BYU's defense, but like you, I'm really curious to see how he handles calling it. And Kalani said that it's going to be a collaborative deal still, with K-Pop leading the way.
That's the latest on BYU football and BYU hoops. Mitch Harper, nobody covers BYU better. Did we just become best friends?
Yep.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
Mitch, thanks so much. Appreciate you as always. Have a good one.
Take care, guys. See ya.
Yeah, man. I agree with him, man. The defensive side of the ball is key for me. We talked about a lot of this yesterday, and Bear Bachmeier taking that jump from freshman year to sophomore year. There's tons of people who have that sophomore slump, right? And you're hoping he doesn't, but, he's a different beast. You heard the Portland State coach and what he thought about him. But I think that on the defensive side of the ball. Gosh dang Centaur. But defensive side of the ball, I do think that was a great thing that so many guys stayed.
Yeah.
And that continuity and even the coaching staff. And as he said, there's tons of coaches with, a lot of experience, even Justin Inna, defensive coordinator experience. And so he does have a lot of help around him.
No doubt about it. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to get you ready for Utah Mammoth hockey. The Mammoth are back. The NHL is back right here on the KSL Sports Zone. We'll get you ready for that game next.
Your home for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Join Scotty G Friday from noon, Scotty and friends, noon to 3 at Tim Daly Mazda, as they usually are, in Sandy, 10785 South Auto Mall Drive. Scotty and friends Friday, noon to 3 at Tim Daly Mazda in Sandy. The NHL is back. The Mammoth are back, and they're taking on a juggernaut tonight. Although that juggernaut, I don't think scares them at all, Sly. This team has been up for the challenge against Colorado. They haven't won every game. They did get the best of them once in the 3 meetings so far. They meet one final time here tonight in Utah. And this is a great test for the Mammoth and a great way to get back into the swing of things. You want to beat the best, you got to be the best, you got to beat the best, and that's one of those scenarios tonight. There's a potential for an Avalanche Mammoth Stanley Cup playoff series to open things up.
That would be awesome. God, that would be awesome. In order to be the man, you got to beat the man.
Absolutely.
Right? Good old Ric Flair. I mean, tonight I'm excited, man. I think that it is prime. I think the last quarter of a sports season is always the most important, right? It does so many things. One, of course, playoff seeding, team morale, fandom, all goes into it. Understand exactly where you're at, where you need to be, as far as administration. What changes do we need to make for next year, right? The last quarter of the season is so important for so many people, especially now, right? In opening up and how the schedule is laid out for the Mammoth. I think this is perfect, right? This is a perfect competitor as far as the Avalanche. Has had some really tight matchups the last couple of years, but I expect some great hockey tonight, and really excited to hopefully get the Mammoth to pull out a pretty convincing victory. As I said, like the Winnipeg Jets matchup they had last year when Winnipeg came in here. Winnipeg was just beating everybody, and they came in here the last quarter of the season, and the Mammoth just went to work on them. And so I'm expecting that type of output tonight, and hopefully we keep rolling all the way through the last 25 games and onto the playoffs.
Yeah, the Mammoth were hot before the break. I'm going to be curious to see if they can pick up where they left off. But you're getting Logan Cooley back, which is a huge boost. Whether it's tonight or Friday, it's going to be soon after missing 28 games with an injury. So that's coming your way. You're going to get that relief and that excitement back in your lineup. You're going to get a pickup from that. They currently have a 1-point lead for that number one wildcard spot over the Anaheim Ducks. 4-point lead overall for a playoff spot. The Los Angeles Kings, the next in line at 60 points. The Mammoth come in with 64 points in this last 25-game swing. And a win tonight over the Avalanche would be massive. You're able to get the Avs shorthanded tonight in your own barn. This is a great opportunity for the Mammoth to get started right as they make this push. Now, what are the chances of the Mammoth actually making this happen? Because we're spoiled here in Utah right now because this is only the second year that we've had NHL hockey. And we could have Stanley Cup playoff hockey in year 2. You can see it. You can smell it. You can feel it. Think about that. That in 2 months, we could be in the middle of a Stanley Cup playoff series against a team like the Colorado Avalanche or the Vegas Golden Knights.
And your logos, colors, everything's half the battle, right? That's for me, it's half the battle. I absolutely love what we did in choosing the Mammoth, and the output and the tusks up and all the taglines and all of that, and going to these hockey matches and seeing the crowd, and what that is. And so I think just picturing that in a Stanley Cup matchup is probably just as good as the Vegas felt about the Knights reaching the finals, in that first inaugural year, man. So I think we're prime. I think we had a great team last year. We were on the cusp of the playoffs last year, right? And we talked about making this a playoff year, man. And we had the lineup. And we talked about, speed, athleticism. We got a great goalie. In Veggie, he's should be rested and back up, from this Olympic break, although he went out there. But, as far as his playing.
He watched it like the rest of us.
He watched it like the rest of us. And so, I just think we're primed to make a run. As you said, Cooley gets back here, and we're getting a full lineup back, guys from injury. And the last 25 games, as you said, last quarter of your season is so important, for a lot of different reasons, man. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how the Mammoth do it, right? And, they were great before the Olympic break, and you just hope there's no let-off, right? In the NFL, that's the fear, right? Everybody needs a bye week, but there's so much rust that happens after a bye week. It's crazy. I remember when I first got to the Steelers in 2009, they had their bye week on week 9, and they went into the bye week, I think 7-2 or like 8-1, right? And then right after that bye week, they kind of went all the way downhill and missed the playoffs. And so you're just hoping that there's no let off after a long, significant break like this. And you just hope they take advantage of the fresh legs and going into top-tier matchups against top-tier opponents.
How good are the Mammoth's odds by the numbers? Well, Greg Wyszynski, who's a friend of the program, he's been on this show before, ESPN.com, one of the best hockey writers in the world, wrote a piece today for the for ESPN.com. Post-Olympics NHL Bubble Watch. Every team's playoff chances. So what did he say about the Mammoth's chances? They're pretty darn good. 86% chance to make the playoffs. That's currently the odds for the Utah Mammoth to make the playoffs. I mean, it's not 100%, it's not 95%, but that's pretty darn good.
You're saying there's a chance.
Oh, I'm saying there's more than a chance. I'm saying, like, the Mammoth would have to just kind of honestly crap the bed.
Right. Hey,
They would just have to become a tire fire. That's not going to happen. They're going to make this happen. He writes, the Mammoth were very close to being considered a lock in the Western Conference based on the probabilities, but the reality is that they're only 4 points up on the Kings for the wild card, and he's right. And likely they don't have the ability to finish in the top 3 in their own division, which is also a problem. It's basically wild card or bust for the Mammoth right now. So there's 2 spots for them. Other teams like the Kraken, they can get one of those division spots or the wild card. Same with the Anaheim Ducks, same with the Kings. But the Mammoth, they got to get that first or second wild card spot because the gap between them and the other teams at the top of the Central Division is just too far. He goes on to say, the Mammoth have been one of the best teams in the NHL since January 1st with a .735 points percentage, and a 2.41 goals against average, which was the second best in the NHL during that span. Even better news, of course, is Logan Cooley's coming back. And he
not
talked
on the
about
injury report.
Not on the injury report. And so Clayton Keller, obviously coming off the Olympics, J.J. Peterka had some good moments over there. The vibes are good. Things are good. And he brings that up. I mean, he's not much else to write other than that. It's as close to a lock without being a lock as you can be right now. And we also talked about point differential. They have one of the best, goal differential. They have one of the best goal differentials in the National Hockey League, top 6. This team's going to make the playoffs.
Right.
And it's going to be fun to watch how that all develops over the next 25 games. And it starts tonight, Avs and Mammoth right here on the KSL Sports Zone, the pregame show coming up here at 6 o'clock. We got to take a break and get you ready for that. When we come back, we will get you ready for Mammoth and Avalanche next on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 VKSL Sports Zone. Sly Sylvester in for Alex Kirry all day. Had a great show. But now our time is up. And it's almost time for hockey again, folks. You've been waiting.
Hockey.
Now, of course, you had Olympic hockey, and that was awesome. But you've missed your Mammoth. You've missed the NHL. Well, it's back tonight. And what better opponent to kick off the final 25-game stretch of the season than the Colorado Avalanche, who have just been phenomenal this year and are loaded with star power. Although we don't know what stars we are going to see tonight. I don't know. Mike Folta, we talked to earlier, Mammoth play-by-play. He's not sure which Avs players are that were at the Olympics are going to play tonight. And we are waiting, and we assume that we're going to see Logan Cooley tonight. Any word? Napolis, have we heard anything official? I think he's been activated.
Game time decision.
I think Bear mentioned some game time decisions tonight.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was in reference to Logan Cooley.
We know the terminology. It's going to be there. I mean, ESPN looking it up. Yeah, he's not on the injury report or any injury reports that's out there. So I think he plays. He may be limited in minutes. But either way, I think you get some good time out of him because this is a good game for him to come back, right? The Avalanche, great team. I don't think he has as many normal shifts as he normally does, but you definitely get his feet wet tonight, and it'd be a great game to come back from.
Well, we know he's been practicing during the break, and that break certainly helped. And this is what we all expected and anticipated for Logan Cooley was, get through the season up to the Olympic break, and then he gets that extra time during the break, and then after the break, he's good to go. And so it looks like that's the case tonight. Can't wait to see Logan Cooley back on the ice. Can't wait to see this team back on the ice, and can't wait to see these two teams clash in a potential Stanley Cup playoff preview. Man, that would be pretty wild. I would prefer to see the Mammoth go against the Knights in the playoffs simply because I think they'd have a better chance of winning that series.
Oh, I just can't wait to see the Delta Center rocking. I don't
gosh.
care. I just want to go in there into the barn and just hear all the yelling and be there. I'll definitely make sure that I'm there for one of those playoff games.
It's so exciting just to think about. So we're almost there. 25 games left in the NHL regular season starting tonight with the Avs and the Mammoth. Do the Mammoth pull it off, Sly? Are we talking about a win tomorrow?
I do. I think we do see a Mammoth victory tonight, and you're going to get some great opponents. Here's the thing: I think we're going to get a fast start, maybe 2-0 start, and then it'll finish it off. But I think you're going to get a great matchup tonight.
I think they're going to take advantage of some of these Avs guys missing. So I think the Mammoth in front of the home fans post-Olympics. Place is going to be rocking. Clayton Keller's going to be back. I think it's going to be fun. You're going to hear that game right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Avs and Mammoth up next. The pregame show starts right now